Hi bakers, welcome back to Global Bakes. I'm Tanya and today we're going to do something just a little bit different than a normal recipe video. I have been wanting to make a sourdough starter for a really long time, and for a lot of different reasons I have not done it. I have either not known what technique to use or what recipe, or I just wasn't sure that I'd be able to get it started. I've never made anything with sourdough or made a starter before. So I kind of wanted to put this basically almost live on YouTube. These aren't live videos, but I'm going to post them as I go. And if my sourdough starter fails, if it dies, you guys are going to know that. You're going to see right along with me. As soon as I create a video, I'm going to post it on YouTube so that you guys can see what I'm doing. So to make my starter, I'm going to use Paul Hollywood's method. The one in here, this is his book, How to Bake. I am making his recipe. The only thing that I've done is I've decreased it a little bit because he used a really, really large amount of flour to get started, and I wasn't quite sure that I could fit the whole starter in my jar. So I did reduce it down to about half. His recipe is easily found all over the internet. You can go to his website. He even has a YouTube video showing you exactly how to do this. So I'm not going to give you the quantities because I feel like it's Paul's recipe, and I don't, he's published that, and I feel like you should go get that from him. But I did want to tell you that I'm going to use his recipe to do this. I also have with me a notebook. I highly recommend keeping a journal. Write down everything you do with your starter, how much flour you use, how much water, the date, even the time I'm going to keep down, so that I know maybe what I did wrong if I kill the starter, which is, let's just say it's likely. Okay, so what you start with is your flour, and we're just doing step one. That's all we're doing today. A starter is a live thing. It's kind of like a pet or a child. You do have to feed it every couple of days. I've seen some people feed their starters every day. Some people feed them once a week once you get it into a live state. You can keep them in the refrigerator once they're active and fully growing. And then you use this in place of yeast in recipes. One thing that I really want to make, I know a lot of my friends have been making sourdough loaves of bread, which is awesome. The thing I'm kind of excited to experiment with is using the sourdough starter in my pizza crust. So let's go ahead and put together the starter. So I have flour in the bowl, and I have grated up an apple. It is really important that you use an organic apple so that you don't have any chemicals going into your starter. And it's just better to have organic anyways. But so I've grated an apple and put that in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my water. Now, if I was making bread, I wouldn't just go ahead and dump all of the water in. I would just do a little at a time until I get to the consistency that I want. But with this, you're basically wanting almost equal parts water and flour. So, and I'm also, today was not supposed to be a video day. I was not planning on doing a video, but I saw organic apples when I went to the grocery store. And I thought, you know what? No more excuses. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to get this starter going. So you may hear kids in the background. You may hear dogs walking around because they are in the kitchen with me right now. But that's just what happens when you make videos in the evening when everybody is at home. So you want to make sure that you really stir this up, really get everything incorporated. You don't want any pockets of flour. I said I've never made a starter before, but I've been reading and watching videos for quite a while to try to prepare myself. So I do know that you don't want to have any pockets. One reason I decided to do these videos for the starter the way I am, make a video and post it that day, is so that you guys see that things mess up. And I think a lot of us have gotten so used to seeing Instagram where, you have bakers on Instagram and Pinterest and blogs and that kind of stuff. And everything is perfect all the time. Everything always works out. Everything always looks great. So that's not necessarily the way it goes though. Real life, things mess up. In real life, starters fail and have to be remade. So we're going to go ahead and make the starter. We're going to see how it goes. If it fails, you guys are going to know about it exactly when I do. And then we'll start over because that's what you have to do. So this is looking pretty good. I don't see any pockets of flour. It's nice and wet. I do see the chunks of apple in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into my jar. My dog wants out, but he's going to have to wait. I would normally get a wide mouth jar or a weck jar. Actually, they're taller, or they're wider at the top than they are at the bottom, so it's a little bit easier to get this in there. But I just went in my pantry and grabbed what I had, so we will make it work. We're gonna get all of this in there. And it is important to have a glass jar so that you can see the yeast working. Actually, so you're not putting any yeast in here, you're just putting flour and water with the apple, but it's going to create natural bacteria, which is going to create yeast, which is why you can use this in place of yeast in your recipes later on. So I do want to make sure that I get all of it in there, and you do want to make sure that you use a glass jar so that you can see the bubbling, you can see what your starter is doing, and you can see how high it is on the side of the jar. That's just about all of it. It seems a little weird to me that you can just put water and flour into a jar and create yeast, but you really can. So there's that. And what I'm going to do, this is something that I use. Whoops, I put it away. Let me grab it out. I am going to mark this jar. I want to be able to keep track of how far up it rises. It should rise pretty far up that jar, and what I use for that, anytime I'm marking anything when I'm baking, I just use painter's tape. It's not very sticky. It's sticky enough to stay on the jar, but not too sticky to never come off. So I'm going to label it with the date, which today is Monday, 3 February 2020, and the time 12:07. Okay, and there we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my tape. You can't see from back here, but I think that's about right. I'm going to line it up so that the top of my tape is right about the same level as the top of my starter. That way when I come back to check it, if my starter's up here, which hopefully it will be in a couple of days' time, I'll be able to see how much it's grown. And then you're going to watch and you'll be able to see bubbles. It's going to be alive and it's going to be awesome. Then you're just going to take a lid. You're going to pop that onto your jar. You do not want to screw it all the way on because there's going to be gases. There's going to be CO2 and carbon dioxide. All that kind of stuff is going to be growing in here. So if you put it on too tight, that can't escape. But if you don't put a lid on it at all, then all of the moisture and the heat is going to come out and you're not going to get a good starter. So put the lid on, but don't screw it all the way down. Just leave it on just loosely. And that's it. So we'll come back. Paul's recipe says cover and leave to ferment for 3 days. So today's Monday. I should be back with another video on Thursday. I might even come back on Wednesday just so we can see how it's doing. So thanks for stopping by, and please make sure that you subscribe to my channel, like this video, and also I found out recently that if you don't click the little bell button down there by the subscribe button, that people are not notified when you upload a new video. So if you want to see when my next video comes up for either my recipes or for the sourdough starter, make sure that you hit that bell button so that you get notified that there's a new video for you to come watch. And somebody is really anxious to go out, so I'm going to end this video. Thank you very much for stopping by. See you soon.